come on to the recent spate of insecurity. I'm sure you heard the question I asked Dr. Adidayo. But there's also another angle to this, Barrister Eze. Nigerians are of the notion that for this to have escalated to this point or degenerated to this point, that it feels that we don't know how to handle this, or like the government of the day is afraid of these guys, that there is a huge, more than 75 complicity of the government of the day on insecurity bedeviling Nigeria. Now, if you remember when the president visited Benue, he asked the chief of defense staff, Christopher Musa, why haven't you made any arrests? It was said in a jovial manner though. He said, by now, before I visited the state, you ought to have arrested persons. And Christopher Musa said they would shortly do so before he organized a press conference where he disclosed that community members protect these individuals. That's what he said, that the community are also part of this melee concerning insecurity. While the defense headquarters is set to host 53 chiefs of defense staff from 53 African countries, which includes Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger Republic, for the maiden African Chiefs of Defense Staff Summit in Abuja. The summit, which will encourage Africa-led solutions to the continent's security challenges, will be held from August 25 to 27 in Abuja. Now, Nigerians have reacted to this. Why waste that money to conduct this conference where you can possibly have a virtual security meeting or something immediate? Obviously, they want to make it a trans-border fight. You know, he had complained about the pressure in the Sahelian region, and that once those countries collapse, then Nigeria is the next target because we have a fertile soil. Barrister Eze Luce, with the resurgence in insecurity across all the entire regions, not just specific regions, it's everywhere now, Barrister. You know, sometimes when you're traveling to the east, I'm always afraid because you tell me you drive. I'm always afraid for you. What is going on? What is the problem?
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
The reality is that the Bola Tinubu regime came into governance with a very myopic idea about governance and security. If you recollect, at various times, even till now, the primary security agencies, rather than maybe go for the best or whatever, Mr. Tinubu opted to select people from his ethnic bloc. The IG of police, the chief of army staff, virtually all the armed forces, all the armed services. I mean, of course, you don't rate the Air Force or the Navy in Nigeria because those ones are virtually absent. But the army, the police, the DSS, the EFCC, the immigration, just keep on rolling them out. Tinubu wanted to bring people from his own ethnic group. When the former chief of army staff died, he brought another Yoruba man to be there. I mean, people begin to wonder, is there any sign of competence in these appointments? Were they the best for the job? Now you go to Benue and you put the chief of defense staff on the...
Hold on, I need to get clarity on what you're saying. You're referring to the former chief of army staff that passed on in the helicopter crash, isn't it?
No, not that one.
Which one?
No, not the one that passed on in the helicopter crash.
Which one?
Tinubu had a first chief of army staff who was Yoruba, and I think he died of cancer or something.
Oh,
and then this other one was...
Okay.
I don't know, whatever his name is. So this one now came and replaced him. I mean, and you have a figurehead, because the chief of defense staff does not command any troops.
Okay.
He commands nothing. He doesn't command jack, because he only talks to the chiefs of these various services. But he does not have any troop under him. So what are you asking him to make arrest for? Is he good one going to make arrest? So all those comments Tinubu made in Benue was just pedestrian, and he knew it. You don't come in public and begin to ask the chief of defense staff, why have you not made any arrest? Before he came to that Benue, there must have been some security briefing. And he knew what was on the ground. So coming on air to ask, why have you not made an arrest? Arrest who? Is he the one to arrest? Is he the police? Is he the army? He is just the chief of defense staff. And the man was just, his response was just blabbing, because he's neither here nor there. But the reality is this government has not shown any interest in security issues. Rather, the government has been focused on economic, all the possible profiteering motives, finance, taxation. That's what this government is focused on. And almost zero to security. That is why ever since this regime has come in, There's one massacre or the other from Kebbi, Zamfara, Benue, Imo, Enugu, just massacre and no response. The only reason why I believe Mr. Tinubu responded and visited Yelatewa was because the Pope talked about it. Otherwise, what is his business there? He's not shown any interest.
So you're saying if the Pope had not spoken, he wouldn't have visited that state?
Yeah, I assure you, because the reason is this. Before several other massacres has occurred, and what did Tinubu ever bother to go anywhere? He only came because he knew that the Pope had spoken. And other ones will happen and nothing else, nothing will come from him. And he was going there more like a campaign blitz. He was unserious. And the irony is that even the headsmen militia know he was not serious. And the response that the chief of defense staff gave was that yes, some community members harbor these people, which is absolute nonsense. Because when you harbor these killers, when they come on this rampage to kill everybody, do you know whether they'll kill you? Because they do these killings in the night. Now it even makes things worse when the DSS now tells us that yes, they had even informed the army that this thing will happen in Yelawata, and then there was nothing done. And then the joke of hosting the chief of defense staff of Africa is it just shows how unserious these characters are. And in fact, if the African Union was even serious, they will know that one place to have such a meeting is certainly not Nigeria, because there has been laxity in security. And they have to be worried about where they will even stay when they come, because there's certainly no place that is safe for them. So, I mean, this government has not, in fact, jokingly, if you recollect, during the campaign, when they were campaigning for elections, Kashim Shettima had claimed that he would be in charge of security and Tinubu will be in charge of economics. And perhaps because they have sidelined Shettima from this government, there is zero focus on security.
You think Shettima has been sidelined? You think Shettima has been sidelined from this government?
I'm not saying I think. Shettima has totally 100% been sidelined, and we saw what transpired when the APC met in the northeast, how they were almost mobbed when they got there. Yes, so there is no, it's not I think. The reality is that Shettima has been sidelined. And this was a man who claimed he would be charge of security. So perhaps that is why there's absolutely nothing going on security. Now, when we talk about individuals, you're not going to be afraid of you. Like we have an Igbo saying that, we do not, because of fear of death, say we will not go and fight. Will you, because of likelihood of death, not move or go to eat? Come on. If it happens, it happens. But the reality is this: those who are in charge of security have proved abysmally inept. And in there with government, because you don't even know where to start from. Even the government
so why is the president? Why